Boz.
Has spoken.
Welcome to the Land of Boz with Jeff Bosley.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to October 22nd, Monday.
Dude, Mondays is just terrible. I hate Mondays. I really hate Mondays.
So yeah, we have a whole lot of show, and luckily today's the free show, so use it like your free dose of heroin. Pass it on to your friends like a free dose of heroin. Let's get everybody hooked on the heroin that is the Land of Boz. But my weekend, it was an interesting one for anybody that follows me. Yeah, interesting.
The greatest weekend of my life.
That dude is always so creepy. I wouldn't say the greatest weekend, but it was quite an adventure for anybody that follows me. On Friday, I believe, somebody DM'd me on my Instagram account, the Jeff Bosley, and told me there was a image of me on a poster at Times Square, and I assumed, not being jaded, but I just assumed that was a little blown out of proportion. So I Googled the latest images from Times Square. I believe they even have a live camera of Times Square just for all the tourists. And no shit. There's a giant image of the character I play in the new Call of Duty release, Nomad. And I was stupefied. And I'm a dreamer. I do what I do daily because I have a dream. And I don't like the word dream, but more people relate to the word dream but at the same time, it seems kind of whimsical. So I typically try to use the word goal. But regardless, I have a dream to be where I want to be in my career, in my life. And money and wealth and billboards and all that, those aren't like check marks, so to speak. But I guess I want to say they're kind of like stepping stone indicators or mile markers in the career. And you'll never get depending on your career, I say you in a different manner, but I'll never get my first billboard in Times Square again. There's only one first, just like anything in the world, that you only get one first time of something. And I just was like, I got to get a picture of that, not of it, but of me in front of it. The childish, youthful, innocence of seeing something for the first time. I just remember being brought back to the first time I saw Old Faithful in Yellowstone Park. Just that purity. But I didn't have the funds to pull that off. Plane tickets are astronomical, especially last-minute plane tickets. And a friend of my manager's, I'll just call her W for now, really stepped up and got me some free tickets. They were standby. And we played the odds and set ourselves up for as much success as possible with even bettering the odds of how I flew, where I flew. And sadly, they had one less seat, not enough, and I was that one more too many on the standby flight. And it was kind of all or none. It wasn't like a typical standby. It was like this was it or it wasn't at all. So I sadly didn't get to go, but I Ubered down to LAX, got my bag and packed and got Izzy taken care of, and I was going to literally Friday night fly to New York, land the next day basically because of the time change, get the picture, and then just I love New York. Oh my God, I love New York so much. There's something I always say about New York, and I mean this in a loving, endearing way. I genuinely love this about New York. I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but what you get in New York from the people are that whatever they are, they're genuine. And that's not to imply any place else I've ever lived is not genuine, but there's just something about the people in New York that they're genuine. If they're an a-hole, they're an a-hole. If they're sweethearts, they're sweethearts. There's no mask. I mean, I'm sure there are, but the people I've experienced, it is you get what you get, and I love that about New York. So I could have just hung out all day. Well, I would have had to hang out all day long, through Saturday night to Sunday morning to Sunday afternoon, and then fly out Sunday. And I was just gonna Green Beret in New York it. I had some warm clothes. Homeless people pull it off, and I was gonna pull it off, but sadly I didn't make it. So that was a little bit of the chaos that was my weekend. And for those of you who don't know, we're playing catch up. The way video games work is they have characters or actors or voice actors that play the voice in the game. They have characters and actors that do the motion capture, that do the physical aspect of the game. And then they also have like image reference characters that they cast actors for. And so most of the still photography or the close-up facial images of me within the game itself is based off of me. So it's pretty dang cool. It's a neat little kid's dream come true. So far, my two billboards are the first one ever was a giant. It was actually on the opposite side of a Baywatch, the Rock's Baywatch billboard. So it was sizable, down in downtown LA somewhere for Bosley Medical. That's the hair transplant people, for those who don't know. And yes, it's not a coincidence. That is my family. So I'm literally have had hair transplants. I would be bald without them. And the family, it's my uncle's, who has since passed. It was his business. And I'm lucky enough to be a patient. So I was the billboard. And then this is number 2, is me playing a fictional video game character, which is awesome because I'm the character in it that has a dog, and a lot of people who know me because of Izzy, my dog. So it's kind of cool that my character has this big roided out pit bull. So that was kind of my weekend. I ended up, because of all that, I was exhausted. I slept most of the day Saturday, and then Saturday night I hung out with a bunch of stunt men and women whom I got to throw it out there, is anybody who watched Venom, any of the Fast and Furious movies, almost all the Marvel movies. I'm very fortunate enough to be around that crew. Hell, I've seen him in Blade. I've seen him in John Wick. That crew makes action movies. And I'm actually going to do a whole nother segment on that later, but slept in. And then today is Sunday. I record kind of the day before typically. And today I was able to meet a very admirable and hardworking fellow former Green Beret, Alan Shabaro, who is getting his 4th degree black belt today. And he and a crew I've overlapped with here in LA and around the country, we're hanging out today, rolling on the mat, and handing out the people's earned different belts. And Mr. Shabaro got his 4th degree today. I think he's been doing this something like 27 years. So he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu man among men. So that was a cool morning. And then this evening I'm heading off to the premiere of a film I had the fortunate occurrence to be in that was scanned that was shown at Cannes this year. It's called Escape, and I'm going to be seeing that tonight, and then I'll be coming back home and finishing this show. So I'm going to give you guys as much to shove in your ear hole as possible. So let's get into the pre-show because I got a little bit more to chat about. And because it's Monday's show, I try to treat it like a fancier restaurant where you get like 5 or 6 appetizers versus, I don't even know, a crappy restaurant where you get 1. Mondays are my multi-appetizer shows where I try to give you a couple pre-show features before I get into the body of the show. And one of my today's pre-show features is I wanted to talk about something that's been coming up for the last couple weeks, over a month now, and its root in its foundation is based on my recently ended relationship with Pauline, my ex. Now, I'm not going to get into all this drama, he said, she said, hi, and all that crap. But one thing I do want to get into is, I guess definitively, because people keep messaging me, and because there's a resurgence of these 2 memes that had tons and tons of views, are getting reposted. I'm getting retagged as a result. So to put it all to bed in the shortest sentence possible, she broke up with me. We haven't talked much since. In fact, hasn't spoke to me. So we've moved on. That's that. So I don't know what's going on that side of the world. Let's just call it good. Share the pictures and all that, or the memes or whatever, but that's that. But the thing I do want to talk about in lieu of that, that some people have been asking me about, some people actually wrote me in on, that'll be a segment later today in the show, is that made me think about, just like anything, when it ends or changes or transitions, you reminisce or you think about the past, think about the future, and you do all this, whatever the hell you want to call it, soul searching, what have you. But I wrote a note when I was at the gym. I always take notes for the show wherever I'm at, and one of the notes was, I'll just read it, exactly what I wrote. Do you miss blank, in parentheses, relationships, etc., or the idealized nostalgic memory? And it's an interesting thing I kind of wanted people to ponder is, we can use relationships as an example. Hell, I mean, you can use way long past relationships. It seems like after any relationship, you look at the one that just ended, and then you have this weird evaluation of all the past ones. And then you start, because memory serves you wrong, you're not in the heat of it, you're not in living in it at present tense. Your memory is only going to remember the spikes, as I think about it, like the spikes of the timeline. It's not going to remember the neutral, mundane stuff. And sometimes those spikes are positive spikes of memory. Sometimes they're negative spikes. But for whatever reason, depending on your frame of mind or your frame of reference, or let's say you're even grabbing for optimism because you're in a negative space, or you're grabbing for negativity maybe because you're in a negative space. It could be a self-perpetuating downward spiral. But, you look back and you think sometimes you can find yourself going down this rabbit hole of, oh, this was great, I missed this and this, that. And then we all need to do this. Do you need to pause and think to yourself, do you really miss the whole package? Or do you miss what you're idealizing or what you're, having a bit of nostalgia over? Because I don't know if that's the brain's survival function to like only reminisce on the good stuff, or if that's some like hippy dippy universe stuff to make us try to be optimistic, positive people where you only think about the nostalgia and the good times. I don't know. But it really is something I try to run myself through when I have moments of regret or doubt, whether it's with an ex relationship like my recent one, or any long-term exes from a long time ago, or hell, cars you've sold, or, just any major life decision. Are you romanticizing its existence, or to the point where you're skewing your own memory to the point where you're feeding the regret or feeding the questions you're having? It's just a little thing. Is whatever you're going through presently, or just relatively recently, or will go through. I think we all got to stop. Or hell, right hand to God, I've even taken notes to remind myself, not when I'm in a bad space. Like if you take notes about something negative when you're like in the heat of it, they're going to be obviously a little jaded and slanted. But I've actually taken notes in when I've been in an objective frame of mind, things that just, whatever X topic, these are the things, hey, remember these when you're having moments of doubt or questions. So I literally can reference back a journal essentially of, hey, keep this in mind, learn from your mistakes, learn from what didn't work, and don't forget these were things. Don't beat yourself up for something that happened because of these things. And it's just something for us all to maybe think about and do it. I'm not perfect. I probably am the epitome of humanity and roller coasters and extreme emotions and all that. But one thing I do try to do to counter that is sit down and really, truly, like I said, I really have some of these things in a note in my on my iPhone. Like, hey, these are the things you need to have, next time in a relationship, or hell, a car, whatever it is. And then these are the things that didn't work, or these are the things to keep in mind when you're having moments of questioning and doubt. Like, look at these reinforcement points and, have those moments, and I think a lot of people can get in this downward spiral of romanticizing high school even, or all these moments in life that you need to like romanticize the nostalgia of the, the good memories, but don't dwell on them, move on. So it's definitely a fine line to coast of just remembering the good times, or just remembering life, because life isn't all good times, but just remembering that time of life, but not to the point where you're living in that time. Move on, get on, move forward. And in my case, it's quite easy. We don't talk. So it's easy to look back, move on, look at the things that didn't work and go, okay, noted, moving on, lessons learned. So I don't know. That's my little ramble about idealizing nostalgia versus truly remembering it for what it was. So ramble concluded. And I hate the word fan mail, but whatever, let's just call it some sort of dialogue between y'all and me, whether it's DMs, the Patreon page, Patreon comments, literally email at fans@jeffbosley.com, or whoever, whatever. I try to copy paste them, keep track of them. And today there was a handful, but today I'll just kind of tie into the last two segments with today's message to me, to an unknown named segment.
Oh my God! Here? I know him. I know him.
And this is referencing a segment last week where I was talking about having a come to Jesus about what you can offer a significant other, or typically relationship person, and actually, are you kidding yourself? Are you kidding them? Are you trying to do too much or whatever? And again, I'm not perfect, but this person had an interesting comment for those of you that heard. And if you're a Monday only show person, this is the stuff you're missing out on. A lot of this juicy stuff. A lot of people are writing in and commenting, helping build the show and creating a back and forth dialogue and helping design this show and make it I hate that word organic, but making this show organic. But anyway, I'll leave this one anonymous, but this person wrote in and said, oh man, I can totally relate to the relationship segment of your podcast today. My husband sounds just like you. He's very, very, very work focused, and that comes before anything else. which is, to be fair, it's what makes him so successful. We've been together for 11 years, married 5, and it's a tough juggling act, for want of a better phrase, get attention. I think I'm often more like his housekeeper than anything else, but when needed, he is there and supports me in all ways, so I work with it. So yeah, that was an interesting thing. For those of you who heard last week's show, is, that's a conducivity that when people are more and more to the other extremes of the spectrum, that conducivity and that overlap of what works, what doesn't, where one is slacking, one picks up, the yin and the yang of it. That's one of the situations where it works. So that's awesome. Thank you, anonymous person I won't name, for writing that in. It's awesome that you did that. And it was just a little thing to share with y'all. I do check my messages, I do check my emails, and I try to get back to every one of you. So with that being said, you write in, you may be on the show. And not like you haven't been shoved into what makes my brain tick enough as it is. This brings us to our segment, Jeff's Journal. It's kind of a lame alliteration, but it's what I had at the time. It's just kind of sticking. But since it's a Monday show, and I don't think I did it last Monday because I screwed up and didn't do journal the day before, you Monday folks are in for a treat. But basically, before we get into it, Jeff's Journal, I try to, in the spirit of scuba diving, I plan my dive, I dive my plan. I look at this like I plan my day, and the metaphor doesn't kind of work when translated, but I wake up every morning and I try to kind of write out my day's plans and try to live those plans. And it's a simple little 3 bulleted points I try to cover and those are gratitude, assertion, and action. Things I need to be grateful for, things I assert will happen, and things I will do for that day. So here is today's Jeff's Journal. And hopping right into it, Jeff's Journal. My last one. Gratitude. This is actually, because I do a lot of these retroactively, this is the day after the Call of Duty New York debacle. But gratitude. I am thankful for support and belief. And I'm referencing thank you for anybody who supports me and believes in me. It's awesome where it's literal, metaphorical, from a distance or first degree of separation and everything in between. I'm very thankful for the support and the belief people have in me. My action for that day, because this is the day after the New York botched attempt, I was a little poo-poo lip. My action was that I am better than negativity. I'm sorry, my assertion is that I am better than negativity. Because it's an easy go down to downward spiral, and I live my days of a roller coaster of yay, success, and thing I want, to boo, broke, and all that, everything in between. So I'm trying to find myself to say I'm better than negativity. And action, I will relax. I never relax, and I took Saturday afternoon off, and so I checked that box. So that is Jeff's Journal. And that brings us to my favorite game of the show. Actually, it's the only game of the show, but it's Cowboy term or sex term. And so you know the rules. Basically, I'm going to give my buddy a cowboy term or a sex term, and then he's got to guess if it is a cowboy term or a sex term, and then he's got to also guess the definition. And then the sound you hear will correlate with the correct answer. So no matter what he says, the sound you hear only correlates with the correct answer. So if he says cowboy term and it's actually a sex term, you're going to hear Duke Nukem. If he says it's a sex term and it's actually a cowboy term, you're going to hear a yeehaw. So, with no further ado, here is cowboy term or sex term. All right, and like I said in the opening, this is one of my favorite games, actually the only game, but it's awesome, so I don't need any other games. It's cowboy term or sex term, and today I bring back Scott Seagren, longtime friend of mine. And Scott, I'm not joking. I say it every time, but when I'm copy and pasting these, I'm laughing out loud. I'm so excited for these.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm the reigning champion. I got to break my own record.
You are, actually. You actually are. And to refresh your memory, I already explained it, but you will say what you think it is, cowboy term or sex term, and then you'll actually also give me a definition. And then the sound effect I will play will correlate with the right answer, regardless of what you said. So the yeehaw means it was a cowboy term. The Duke Nukem means it was a sex term. And that's obviously all in post. So you don't get to enjoy it live.
I'm so ready.
All right. I'm so excited, trust me. So starting today, number 1, October 22nd, for cowboy term or sex term, we start with... Number 1, Boomtown. Boomtown.
Oh my God. Boomtown. Welcome to Boomtown. I'm going to say sex term.
And your definition, sir.
Well, I mean, more or less, I feel like my tone said it all. Boomtown, like knocking boots town, like banging town. Welcome to Boomtown.
All right. Was it a cowboy term or a sex term?
I said sex term.
Cowboy term.
Oh no!
I know, you're just warming up. It's okay. I hit you out of the blue. We didn't really do any like conversational foreplay. We just jumped right into it. So, Boomtown, and like I said in the past, I can explain all the cowboy ones, the sex terms, because I try to keep the semi-family friendly or dependent. But Boomtown is a town that grew up rapidly, usually in a mining town or a town where cattle trail met a railroad line. So that was me pump faking you with something blatantly obvious, but so obvious it could have been a sex term.
Damn it. You got me.
It's okay. It's okay.
And I was
psyoped
so
you on that one.
Too.
That's all. That's 99% of it is being confident. All right. I'm excited. I don't care. There's no lose because it's all fun for me. Number 2, cowboy term or sex term. Gerbling. Gerbilling. Gerbling.
Gerbling?
Yeah, I stand corrected. Yes, that's me being absurd. GE is the J sound.
Okay.
So gerbling.
I am very
I've never seen the word gerbil
this is
spelled.
A sex term. Like if there is a cowboy term that is also gerbling, I'll be surprised. I really will, because I'm fairly confident I know what gerbling is. And without getting
your
into
definition,
detail,
sir.
The definition would
keeping
be
it semi-PG, PG-13.
The definition would be something that Richard Gere has always been rumored to have been guilty of.
And was he right?
I'm bringing sexy back.
Yes, it is a sex term. I will elaborate, skipping many, many words. Gerbling, also known as gerbil stuffing, this one I tried to make it so obvious it made you go, I'm kind of scared that this is so obvious he has to be messing with me.
Nope.
Gerbil stuffing, the absurd urban legend that some men put gerbils, bleep, 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 bleep. The common versions of this myth involve putting a tube into bleep, 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 coaxing a gerbil to bleep, 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 removing the tube, bleep, bleep, bleep. Wow.
Yeah.
And also a little known side, I guess you could say a spin-off term is called hedgehogging.
Yep.
I'll leave that to your imagination. Scott apparently is the know-all of the rodent sex terms.
Let's just say I've heard some of these before in conversation, and I've had some of these pitched at me, and I was like, wait, what?
Pitched to... that's a whole other show.
Yes it is.
All right, so that's the 1, 2. Number 3 on cowboy term or sex term, lock crotches. LOCK space CROTCHES. Lock crotches.
Now this
cowboy term or sex term.
This is tricky because, I mean, for obvious reasons, you could say that it might be a sex term, but I feel like it's too obvious that it might be a cowboy term. You pump faking son of a gun. Locking crotches. Well, no, because I feel like, unless it's just another term for scissoring, I don't think it's that. Locking crotches. Okay, I think it maybe is a cowboy term. And I have 2 possible ideas for a definition on this one as a cowboy term.
All right. 2 are acceptable.
One being, isn't there a thing of when a steer is trying to mate, they can get stuck, literally locked crotch-wise?
That is a true phenomenon. I believe it happens also like in like giraffes or some absurd.
Yeah,
animals.
and like a couple other animals too. Actually, I think ducks
Yeah,
is
they have
one
like
of them.
They have like a spear-headed hoo-ha.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So that's one possible definition. The other thing is it's probably like something else innocuous, like, you know, like a truck hitch or something, locking into something else. I don't know.
Yeah, fair. The thing is with this is I can't rule out your theories because they are solid. But in this case, because I run the show, this is
I'm bringing sexy back.
a sex term.
Son of a...
And it's what your instinct said. It's synonymous with joint at the groin, i.e. scissoring.
Damn it.
I know. Like I said, we ran into this. I texted you and just said, "Let's do this." It's Cowboy Turbo sex term. So you're off your game. It's okay. Well, the mighty must fall sooner or later.
I guess
Scott
so.
Is no longer the reigning champion.
I came in hot. I came in too cocky. I was like, "Oh, I got this."
Exactly. No pun intended on Cowboy Turbo sex term.
Pun completely
Oh, they only get worse. Trust me.
intended.
I'm very excited. These just get better and better, and I just threw these together too.
Yeah, I'm aroused.
Number 1, 2, 3. I'll leave you to that. Number 4, Cowboy Turbo sex term, out the back door. Cowboy Turbo sex term.
Boy.
3 words, out the back door.
Oh boy. Well, I once again am torn here because I feel like there's a very obvious sex term there. But watch it be some cowboy term that it like means something again, just something really simple and innocuous. Out the back door. Out the back door. Okay. All right. Damn, I have a good one for both, I think. I gotta
Go
stick to
against
one.
your
I gotta
instincts.
commit.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go cowboy term.
Okay.
I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. My instincts have been failing me this game. But I'm going to go cowboy term, and I'm going to say out the back door being like the actual sort of idiom of, you know, when the plan fails, it's out the back door. You got to go with something else. Or it's something probably like shit related.
Okay, fair enough. Well, like I've said in the past, the definition is just a bonus. I only count points if you get the category right. And in this case, cowboy term. So you got it.
All right.
Definition not really close, but it's when a rider is thrown over the back end of an animal.
Okay.
And like I said with one of my last
Sure.
guests, kind of some of these could be both.
That's true.
So
That's
you're-
true. But still,
Yeah. So you're 1. It's okay.
it's all good.
This will give you only. This is, Rocky had to get almost killed to get back to the top.
I know.
so.
I'll have a mighty comeback on the next game.
You'll have your training cowboy term or sex term montage, and you'll come back to the top.
I'll just peruse
All right.
all of Urban Dictionary.
Oh, this is messed up. Yeah, some of these websites, the Googling I do for these. And number 5, cowboy term or sex term. Legal catch. Legal space catch. Legal catch. Cowboy term or sex term.
God damn it.
These are good, right?
You picked some good ones. You definitely picked some good
I
ones.
did. I'm proud of these.
Some double entendres.
Under the gun, I
here
really
for
threw
sure.
some together.
Legal catch. Legal catch. Damn it. Legal catch just because of the word literally being legal. I'm going to go cowboy term. Like maybe it's rodeo related. I think probably it's just a term for like maybe rodeo or like lassoing calves or something, and you like just barely tie it off or something. And I don't know. That's my guess.
All right. Well, Scott went with cowboy term, and you're right.
All right.
Legal and you got the definition pretty dang near close.
Sweet.
Legal catch is in team roping. That team roping, for those who don't know, they basically have a calf bust out of a gate. 2 cowboys go chasing him, and they rope the front and the back hooves, or head and hooves. It depends. But in team roping, the header, the guy obviously that catches the head, must catch the steer on the horns, head, or neck. This is also called a fair catch.
Got
so
it.
you're pretty dang close.
All right.
So, Scott had a rough day, but you know what? These were really hard, especially with me mispronouncing gerbling, i.e. Gerbling.
Gerbling.
And that has been Cowboy Termer Sex Term. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, no problem. Happy. I gotta come back. I'm gonna have to come back.
Adios, buddy.
All right, later.
And today, Monday, a special treat. A lot of people have asked, and I figured I'd import it and throw it on the show, is a special section in Acting Chat. It is an interview I did just last week with the UK radio show called the Craig Avery Show. The gentleman, Craig Avery, I've been on his show once or twice a year for the last couple of years, and he's always been massively supportive. And quite honestly, he's an amazing over the airwaves friend, and I can't wait to meet with him and chat with him. And we always have a great rapport, and this was a good, fun 20 minutes, so I figured I'd share it with y'all. Here's Acting Chat and today's special show with, I did the Craig Avery Show in the United Kingdom.
Well, I'm an actor, right? So I got to keep my emotions right at the surface, you know?
Well, I've had a little bit of a problem, as you may have guessed, getting hold of Jeff Bosley, but I believe we've got Jeff on the line. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, good evening. You may have guessed. You make it sound like I have a virus or something that I gave your new studio.
It's a brand new studio, and we had a...
I've already ruined it.
No, it's working perfectly, obviously now, but just a little bit of teething problems. First of all, I was getting out, and I was having a little problem getting out in the UK. Then I got to a multilingual options in the US where they said to me if I wanted to speak English, press 1. And they told me in Spanish if I want to speak Spanish, which would have been a bad interview.
For two reasons. I don't know any either. I could maybe pull some French out of my backside.
And a push. Now, I think we better. It seems quite a privilege, and it's quite a roundabout way that you've been an auspicious guest, and I was due to have James Henry, the Liverpool songwriter, as my first guest this evening, and he's had to rearrange because his album's been delayed, so he'd rather do the interview when the new album's out,
sure.
which makes a lot of sense. So
sure.
you've got the privilege of being my first guest in this lovely studio. As
I have christened your studios, I don't want to say virginity, but...
You can do.
Okay.
Now, I think it's been a little while, so we've got a lot of people who are pleased that I had you back on the program.
I'm ecstatic.
So we'll talk because your life story has been very interesting, and in the last few years has really taken off as we've followed. A lot of people have followed your career from Army Greenberry to to where you are now. So just we'll go back and recap. Yeah. Tell us a bit about your life story.
The game show short version is. Theater geek in America here. When 9/11 happened, I was still in theater, and then I ended up enlisting in the Army. And then actually the next day is when I proposed to my, at the time, now ex-wife. So the Army came first, the marriage came second. And then it was an Army Green Beret, your version of the British SAS, loosely speaking. I did that for a little career, got out. And then I was a firefighter in my local city in Colorado in the States. And then through weird circumstances, the proverbial divorce, I was like, you know what, it's time to, the childhood dream was always to play G.I. Joe, and or be G.I. Joe in the real world, and I did that. And then my second subpart parallel dream was to pretend to be G.I. Joe. And circumstances, friends, and a bunch of advice, and just the right trifecta of things lined up, and I was like, forget it. And I did everything that was against my wiring as a grown adult, and sold and gave away everything. Moved to LA, and I moved here with. I've never done this, and even hearing myself say it again, it makes my stomach turn. I had no plan. I didn't have a job. I had no agenda. I only had a place on a floor that somebody was going to let me sleep on, and moved to LA. And I vowed to not ever have to. Have any other job other than act, and that's fortunately worked out. I mean, I've had to live thin, but I moved here, and through that merciless pursuit, I've luckily been acting ever since, paying my bills, and some roles that were slightly embarrassing, many more as my career progresses, I'm a lot more proud of, and brings us to where we are today, I think.
There's been some absolutely lovely roles you have had. I mean, one that I think any red-blooded male will be envious of. So we'll have to recap on that one.
I'm assuming you're talking to Uma Thurman.
Yeah, Una Thurman. Yeah.
You are Twitter-pated with that role.
I think the word is. I think the word is
Yeah,
jealous. I think actually, if I'm honest,
yeah.
the word is jealous.
No, that is right. That is right. I'll make a video loop of it just so you can play it on loop, like on your screensaver in the studio. Yeah, that one actually, that was funny because when you and I first met, I think I was shooting or just barely shot it, or it was it was a long time ago. It was one of my very, very first roles in LA. That just came out, I want to say, officially on like 6 months ago. They had the premiere, and now it's on iTunes. So, I mean, that was like 3 or 4 years in the making. And yeah, I somehow I was the lowly man on the totem pole, so I didn't get notified about the premiere. And somebody screen grabbed it, and I went to iTunes and watched it. I was like, dang, this is a good movie. Oh, yeah, I'm in bed with Uma Thurman in this movie. Let me watch that scene again.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I've said it in the past, and I like everybody. It seems like everybody likes rumors and stories and all. I am happy to report every time that she was regal and polite and treated me with nothing but respect. And like she, at the end of the day, I say this every time because it makes me feel like just a giddy little kid. At the end of the shoot, when I was like on there for a couple of weeks. At the end of the shoot, she goes, and that's a wrap on Jeff Bosley, and led the clap. And if I had my cell phone, I just would have recorded that, and I played over every morning to get myself going for the day. So she was what you wanted her to be. Thank God, she was amazing.
Yeah, and then you had some wonderful. I think was it American Sniper that was the next?
Yeah, that was the big B-roll, like kind of straight to Netflix movie. But again, it was growing up. I was always watching Steven Seagal, Sylvester Stallone, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe Jean-Claude Van. That was the action hero of my life growing up. And this movie was starring Steven Seagal, and in the movie, ironically, I played a Green Beret, and in the movie, ironically, I'm the first guy to die. So I mean, spoiler, sorry. But we got to work with him and that was a long shoot actually. And me and another buddy were Green Berets. He's actually the guy that got me the Uma Thurman job. And that's what I'm learning as my career is progressing. Is it's the jobs I've had the most fun and my biggest enjoyment, and to be brutally honest, the biggest paychecks. I mean, all the things that were the biggest had nothing to do with agents or managers. It was reputation and knowing the right people, and not in a malicious way, but just in a proverbial right place, right time, right. I was just a bug in their ear, and it just worked out. So it's reassuring, but also depressing.
Yeah, no, I think
no say in the job.
I think sometimes you have to do the hard yards to put you in those positions. And yes, I do think your luck does certainly play a part in everything, who you chance meetings, etc. But but that without talent, you're not going to keep there, are you? You're not going to keep there.
Oh yeah, I won't remotely pat myself on the back, but yeah, I don't know that I'm going to butcher the quote, but something about, something is when hard work and skill meet good luck or something. There's some quote like that. And it talks about skill, talent, and hard work, and I try to do anything I have control over, I work on. So like, yeah, if I'm in the right space, right place, right time, but I'm a really crappy actor, that obviously is a useless endeavor.
Yeah.
So I try to show up and give them what the reputation hopefully preceded me with.
Yeah. Now, recently, just coming up to some of the things you've just been doing, because you had some big things happening.
It's been there's a big Christian Bale movie coming out. It's called Vice, and it's about our Vice President Dick Cheney, the whole pre 9/11, post 9/11 movie, and it's directed by Adam McKay, who did The Big Short with about our big mortgage crisis. And it was Adam McKay is typically like a Stephen or Will Ferrell humor movie guy, and that movie about the mortgage crisis just was astonishing. I think it won Oscars. And this is his follow-up to that. And I got cast in that. I think I was shooting for about 2 weeks, which for me, that was the biggest budget, biggest mainstream, everything role I've had at that point. And if somebody had brainwashed me and told me and made me forget Christian Bale was playing Dick Cheney, and for those of you who don't know, or, American politics, he's a short, fat, bald man. And Christian Bale's, he's a leading A-list looking, hot looking dude. And had somebody brainwashed me, I would have known it was Christian Bale. I would have said, wow, that's a Dick Cheney lookalike. And it wasn't until I heard his accent, because I think he's from, I can't remember where he's from in England, but he has a very kind of Cockney accent. And so when he spoke, I was like, holy crap, that's Christian Bale. And another guy, I've heard horror stories, and there's even horror stories about him online, and but he was eternally polite. He's more of a theatrical actor, so he doesn't really break character much, or he stays kind of in his zone. But he kind of broke out a little bit and introduced himself on my first day and made me feel super welcome. And the first shot of the movie, this is a nice little Hollywood insight. I stood up next to him, and for those who don't know, I'm not a short guy. No, neither is he, but I'm also pretty tall. And the shot looked crappy. Like, it looked silly having me next to him. And not to knock him, just in general, like cinema, speaking as far as like creating a picture. Like if you're taking pictures, if you're a photographer, it doesn't look good having things that are so disproportionate with a waste of air above a subject. And so I actually got recast on the first day because I was too right for the role, I guess. And but I still got to work for 2 weeks with him, and that was awesome. And I'll be faster, but like another huge one I did, I was in Korea for 6 months. That was my biggest leading role. And I shot that. That's actually wrapping up now. We did a little bit of more audio just last week, actually, and down at Warner Brothers will be releasing it. And it's now called Take Point, and it's like an ensemble piece. It has a now friend, Kevin Durand, is one of the main leads in it, and it's a whole like what if World War III scenario. So it's kind of a thriller action movie, and that was the kid in me. Like every day, I just was giddy as a little schoolgirl. That was if I could do that every day till the day I retire or die, that would be it. And and then I just, for whatever reason, I'm always in that weird networking space. Like 1 minute I'm like I got to audition for, because of the real random word of mouth, Stallone's new Creed 2 that's now out or coming out soon, to play Drago's son because I was so tall. And then the next day I met Dolph Lundgren at the gym in passing, so it's just like all these little weird things are like, just, I'm not like that guy of like, oh, the universe is answering my questions, but there are a lot of weird things that just keep happening in sequence where I'm like, just one of these mother, beepers just needs to sync up and take a risk on the new guy, because, that's the ultimate goal, is to, be the new guy that takes over at least Hollywood, Boulevard, maybe not Hollywood itself.
We'll settle for a star. We'll settle for a star on the Boulevard.
Oh yeah, I mean that's no small goals.
Yeah, definitely.
I want one that people don't pee on too much. That's all I ask.
Or let their dogs do that either.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Jeff,
I want prime real estate.
Yeah, Jeff, how was the? I was going to say, you said that you absolutely would love to do every minute of your life, but how was it filming on location, like say in Korea for 6 months? Because that's a big chunk of life in a very different country. I know your forces background. I
think the deployment, like you're saying, the deployment life helped me like be okay with it. But also, I think because it's newer in my career, it had a lot of novelty to it. So it was kind of like the little kid Christmas syndrome. It was just inherently fun because it was so new. I could also see, like, at the time I had a significant other, and she and I've since not passed. It sounds like we died, broke up. But we, so like I can understand if you're away from your significant other, or your family, that was a strain. But really beyond that, I don't care where. I've even emailed the director. I was like, if you need me again, I'll come back. I'll happily come back out there. And so, I mean, Korea, as far as any places go, it is extremely clean, extremely polite. It was a neat culture experience for sure.
And I digress slightly, but some of the Korean movies I've seen over the last few years, normally on flights when I've watched, been brilliant, very, very different angle from movies.
And that's the inertia, and that's where the inertia is, I believe, as far as studios right now, is like Chris Evans, the guy who plays Captain America. He was in a film similarly based out of Korea and had a Korean, I think writer and all that, and it was shot in Korean. It was called Snowpiercer, and I think something happened there, and there is a huge Korean film market just for Korean in general. And I think there's this conglomeration where studios are now seeing dollar signs, and there's new content to be made that's just not a remake of a remake of a remake of a sequel. So I think they're seeing how to make it work, across the board as far as artistically and, profit wise. And that was the thing. It was really a cool. I mean, I even know in major mainstream movies here, they'll actually add scenes or almost like little subplots with Korean name brand actors or actresses, to appeal to those markets. So that's why, like here in America, when you hear about a movie just bombing in the box office, but it was an amazing profit in like, the Asian market, is because they actually inserted a plot line with one of their leading men or women. And it's an astonishing, I'm so glad that's not my job to make those decisions.
I know, but perhaps we could see Jeff Bosley in a Bollywood movie.
Oh God, I get that one all the time. That I might draw the line there. So if anybody's, all due respect to the Bollywood audience and appreciation people, but those are they're fun.
Yeah. And the one thing I did find, even in maybe it has changed, but a couple of the serious Indian movies I did watch, they still managed to break into a meek song and dance.
There's always
routine.
a musical interlude. Yeah. You could be in the middle of a James Bond Bollywood thing, and there'll be a musical interlude somehow.
Very integral part of it. So it's really exciting times for you at the moment, and you sound you're loving every minute of it.
I am. It's good. It's actually funny. This is a very awesome thing with technology. I'm actually sitting at a horse ranch, not that I own. I'm not successful there.
Soon, Jeff.
Yeah. Don't trust me. I need a horse. And where I volunteer at, and I'm giddy as a schoolgirl because I'm sitting here next to my horse, having you call me, and it's those little baby steps, glimmers of like reassurance, those things that just fuel you, even albeit every 6 months. Those boosts are needed for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's quite a picture. You're back from Japan shooting, and you're there on the ranch with the horse, which I could just hear. I think that was the horse.
You just hear, that's Romeo.
Listen,
the a-hole. I just brushed him and cleaned him, and he just rolled in the dirt. So you somehow ruined my. Thanks, Craig. I'll blame that one on you.
Welcome to the show, Romeo. You're the second guest of my new studio. My second guest was a horse.
Your first original guess is like, well, who's this a-hole from the States and his horse? I upstaged an artistic, classic, good musician for this. So.
Yeah. Well, we hope when you're in London, we'll bring you down, because our new studio is only 35 minutes from the centre of London, so it could be very easy to get your studio.
Yeah.
So I'm not so we'll have you here. A London trip will happen in my future, and I'm kind of, however, most of the last times we spoke, the running joke was at your old studio sometimes the air conditioner would blow out, and you'd be like just sitting in there in your boxers. Yeah, we don't really want to go
there. And that was kind of a sales pitch. So now that I know you have air conditioning, you kind of lost an angle.
Yeah. We did have air conditioning at one, but it wasn't really effective. But it's a wonderful studio here. But we'd welcome you here, but we'd probably leave the horse at home.
Okay, I won't be a prima donna and bring my service horse with me or something, like my emotional support horse.
Jeff, it's been lovely speaking to you. I'm having lots of nice messages coming in, and people are saying, where can they find out more about the movies you've been in and what you're doing now? So
I'm very active, not in a pompous way, but in a way that I know I vow to never forget. I'm the audience's, or albeit calling the fans, I'm your employee. So I'm very interactive with that in mind. And so anything can be found on easily jeffbosley.com, and anything else on social media is the Jeff Bosley. So your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook. I'm very active on Instagram. I try to interact with people. And I guess this would be a time to bring it up as a little pitchy, but I also did start my own podcast where I'm very interactive with people who email me, and I create segments of the show for people, because a lot of people follow me for fitness or maybe motivation or maybe Hollywood. I do nerd stuff. And I talk about trucks, and I've actually created a podcast based on this Swiss Army knife of diversity I have. And it can be found on iTunes, and it's called The Land of Boz. And it's also patreon.com /The Land of Boz. It's a 5-day-a-week show. I do an hour show 5 days a week, and people are loving it. And that's been a fun way, and I now see where you're coming from. It's a fun, interactive way to create something daily. I completely, the first day I tried it, I was hooked. I loved just holding up in my room, setting up my mic in my studio, and creating a show, talking to myself. So I see the appeal.
It's quite a challenge doing it 5 days a week. I have done it, but I'm quite happy with 1 day a week is good.
Yeah, I won't lie. There are days, but it's sheer ego because I've said I would.
Yeah, and you're going to do
online,
it.
So I have to do it. Yeah, like as soon as I'm done here playing with this horse, I have to run home and record tomorrow's show, and I do an interview too. And hey, you know what? tables will turn. Now I say it now here publicly. I need to have you on the show.
I'd be very honored to come on your show.
No, I can't believe that. That's an obvious. Yeah, that will happen.
We'll do that. Jeff, it's lovely speaking to you, and we really do hope that we catch you in London in the not too distant future. We look forward to it very much.
Absolutely, always. It's an honor to continue this tradition. It means the world to me.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Steve Snicker, who makes it all happen.
Always, yeah, for sure. Thank you, and then thanks to everybody chiming in, listening after the fact. Thank you for listening, and thanks for supporting Craig for sure.
Much appreciated. Thanks again, Jeff.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Jeff Bosley, and do check out his website. This is Chuck Jackson.
All right, that was a kick-ass Monday. Free show. I hope you enjoyed it. Pass it on to your friends. If you're a Patreon subscriber, thank you. If you're not and you're just slowly taking in the Land of Boz like a little taste of the heroin, go for it. 8 quarters a month, I will give you 20 shows a month, and I will keep you entertained and motivated and educated and everything in between. I thank you for your time. I genuinely hope I give you your money's worth. I sincerely believe I'm your employee. You are, I guess, paying me to give you a product, and I hope I'm giving you your money's worth, and I thank you for your time, your interest, and your support. So, it's Monday, the start of many people's week, so you can do it. Go forth, conquer, kick ass, be relentless. Adios.